Hello, good evening, and welcome to Gigabits and Gigahertz, a vlog about telecom, about what's going on in the industry, technology, 5G, fiber, broadband internet, and everything we wish to discuss here. So this is our first episode, and I'm very happy to have with me here Mr. Vico Fiorense. Correct me if I'm correct there,
Uh,
Vico?
yeah, Fiorese.
Fiorese.
Yeah,
Thank you, Vico, for accepting my invitation to participate in this, the first edition of Gigabits and Gigahertz. I'm very happy to have you here. I know you for quite a while, and we interact a lot in personally, and we have also interacted a lot in social media, Twitter, Facebook, and all those groups that revolve around telecom. And I'm very happy to have you here. And just for a quick introduction, just let people know who are watching this. Who are you? Where are you coming from? And how you're involved in the telecom industry?
yeah. So telco is my life since 1994. I'm in telco, so I passed by all the G's that you can imagine. I saw like how difficult it was in the beginning to start the first sites in my country back in Brazil. And then in 2014, I moved to the US. And since 2017, I'm working on rural America. And that's where I met you. Interesting enough, I mean, you are our rural Caribbean, right? I mean, that's that's how
Well,
you
yeah.
are. But but I mean, that's pretty much how we met, and I'm very happy to work in rural America to help the WISPs to use the unlicensed, licensed millimeter wave spectrum. And let's talk about it. I mean, let's fire the chat.
Well, yeah. Let's go. Let's start with the big elephant, not in the room, but the biggest thing right now, the hottest thing, which is 5G.
Yep.
5G. Despite that, lately you have some sort of controversy with some conspiracy theories talking about this and that, and just misinformation everywhere. Taking that apart, let's go to the actual what is 5G.
Yeah.
And what is your thoughts about the current state of 5G, how it's developing around the world, and actually how the coronavirus and
Yeah.
lockdowns around the world are affecting probably the deployment of 5G.
Yes. Yes. So I think what we need to understand by 5G is that as any other technology, let me remove my glass. I see
Yes.
like a reflection on it.
No
So
worries.
like any other technology that came from 3GPP, what is important for us to understand is that when we bring a new technology, we bring a new physical layer. And let's explain to the people what's the physical layer. I mean, so we bring a new protocol that allows devices to connect to the towers or to the antennas or to the radios, right?
Mhm.
And because of that, we need a new ecosystem. We need like new devices that are going to support that new technology that we are bringing to the table. The current stage of 5G, mainly in the United States, it is that most of the use cases were driven by something that you know very well, that is fixed wireless access,
Mhm.
exactly because of the fact that we can control the ecosystem. So because we can bring in new customer premise equipment to the table, we don't need to do like a big incentive for the end user to go to buy a new handset. So because we can control the ecosystem, it is better that we start to see more of the 5G impact to the end users on the fixed wireless access. Now, I have my own 5G handset, but this is because I'm a part of this industry, because I'm a gig, right? I mean, so then I go and I buy. But did I buy like a millimeter wave 5G? No, I started by a 600 megahertz 5G. And my decision was to use a low band 5G exactly because I didn't like to suffer the impact of like what the new technology that is the millimeter wave will bring in terms of challenges of coverage, mobility, and all these I mean, you know very well all this stuff that I'm talking about. So, I mean, to conclude, I mean, the stage of 5G in the United States is pretty much driven by millimeter wave on fixed wireless. Okay, this is what everyone is talking about. But there is an exception, that is the successful usage of 5G on 600 by T-Mobile. Okay.
Mhm.
Regarding your question about delays, I started to read that some of the global suppliers are facing some challenge on the supply chain. So we can expect some delay. I mean, this is public information. So yes,
Yeah.
I mean, we will see some delays in some of the projects. Yes.
Let me pick up your brain because you touch a very interesting subject, which is, low band versus mid band and versus high band or millimeter wave in terms of 5G. How do you see, obviously in the United States, millimeter waves taking some ground by, deployments by Verizon and AT&T mainly, but, the coverage, as we all know, is pretty limited. Do you think that millimeter wave is going to expand more than just downtown areas, dense areas, stadiums and arenas, or do you think that's going to have a massive deployment?
So I don't think that we are going to see. I mean, it's very interesting your question, because we used to have something that we know by massive deployment on low band, right, or mid band. I think that massive deployment of millimeter wave will be something different, right? So I think that millimeter wave will never be used as a blanket as a blanket coverage,
Right.
that you're going to use like for the total rural coverage, for areas that are going to be like miles away from the roads and all that. We will not see that. I mean, on millimeter wave. Millimeter wave has such a value in terms of capacity, that it makes sense that you start by where you see your own hotspots on your own network. Like you, I mean, you manage your network every day, so you know where you need more capacity, right? So
Yeah.
you go step by step where you need more capacity, okay? And that doesn't mean that we will be focused only on downtown areas. You probably may find some hotspots that are outside the downtown areas. I know at least one, or not, actually two WISPs that are actually participating on the millimeter wave auctions, right? So they are going over licensed spectrum because they see that, yes, there is a value to expand the 5G over millimeter wave on the rural America. Let's put it this way, okay?
Before I ask you the next question, I would just wanted to invite all our viewers that are here. Just if you have any questions, you can post it here under the comments, and we will just show it and we'll try to answer it. So I just wanted to put that up front. So thank you and welcome to this vlog. So next question: do you think that you touched a very interesting point, which is fixed wireless access in 5G? Do you think that that's going to take off and actually become bigger in terms of deployment of units and base stations versus traditional mobile networks?
No, I mean, definitely not. No, 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 no. I mean, remember that when we talk about mobile, coverage is something critical, right? I mean, we cannot, so we needed to allow mobility. So we don't plan any mobile network, okay, without the blanket coverage, right? So I don't think that fixed wireless will ever reach like the same number of sites that we see on a mobile network. Now, what is important is that fixed wireless networks that are dedicated for fixed wireless only, they are designed based on a different type of capacity compared to the mobile networks.
Right.
Okay, and we plan very careful how we grow the fixed wireless network, not based on coverage, but based on capacity. That's pretty much how it goes. Okay.
And now that you touched the capacity point, do you think that we will see a time where the deployment of 5G as a fixed wireless or a fixed connection to the home or to the business is gonna take over fiber?
That's a very tricky question. I see that there is a combination. Wherever you can go with fiber, okay, with a reasonable cost structure, I think that you will always prefer to do that. The point is that we know by fact that there are areas where we cannot build fiber.
Right.
We don't have a permission, right?
It's too
And
expensive.
there are areas where it's cost prohibitive to do fiber,
Exactly.
right? And then we need to do to have as part of our toolbox this last mile. How many times you and me we discussed the problem that, man, I would like to go over that new neighborhood, but because I know that people are calling me, but then you come back to me and say, I don't have a solution to go on that neighborhood, right? So
Yeah.
we needed to keep our tool set of last mile always open, okay? Because we never know what we are going to use. And you are now trying Terragraph, so you can tell us more about you can tell us more about your own experience on that, right? I mean, that's part of the toolbox, right?
Yes, it is. It is, and let's touch really quick on that. Yes, we have a trial network here in San Juan, Puerto Rico, of Terragraph technology. For those who are not familiar with it, basically Terragraph is a fixed wireless solution based on that's Y-gig chipsets, which permits to transmit very high speeds, let's say over 1 gig, over millimeter wave spectrum, which is unlicensed. It's in the 60 gigahertz band. And on top of that, the Terragraph solution, which was developed by Facebook, is it's a mesh solution. So you can have several points on your coverage area, and the access point will talk to each other and have a dynamic mesh. It will morph and change their path depending on the traffic or user. So it's a very interesting technology. We're trialing. We've been trialing for about 6 months now. Limited deployment of about maybe 50 nodes, but it's working pretty well, and we're pretty excited of what's coming down the pipeline in the future.
Now, another question. I mean, so since you mentioned mesh, my experience with the mesh in this type of environment, it is that mesh is something that is very interesting for backup path, but not for dynamic path. Like as soon as you put your nodes on the network, pretty much like the paths becomes like a kind of static. Like the paths like don't change very often in the network if you don't have a real failure in one of the nodes, and then you need a backup path and all that. Is it like the experience that you're having with your mesh network?
Yeah, it's pretty. It's yeah. The way the Terragraph works is that all the nodes talk to a centralized controller on the cloud, not for traffic, just for RF specifics and traffic characteristic specifics. So, the controller has all this information, all this data, and analyzes, and it will make changes based on what it's seeing on terms of the traffic going on and other variables, depending on of if a path fade away because maybe some rain or something like that, or of traffic capacity. So we'll make let's say intelligent decisions based on a lot of variables. So it's pretty interesting. It's not perfect, obviously. It's a developing technology. It will have it needs some adjustments, but it's part of a great development of this. It's not your old plain mesh that you might think maybe like 10 or 15 years ago that really didn't scale well. I think that this shows a lot of possibility.
And it's good because, I mean, you know very well that as part of 5G, one of the next important features that we are going to deliver is the IAB, right? So the integrated backhaul, that is pretty much like a mesh.
Yeah.
A mesh, but a mesh like on the definition, on the standardization
Right.
of the 5G body. So I look forward to see more of that. I mean, I think that we can open up for the questions. I mean, I will.
Yeah, we got a couple of questions here from Mario. Hello, Mario. So we got one here. Is fixed wireless moving towards a hybrid fiber wireless environment? I think yes.
Yeah,
Every
definitely.
a lot of WISP are moving towards that scenario and are implementing fiber networks. Usually they start for their backbone and then expand to end users. But I think it's gonna be
I think that you mentioned like the backbone definitely, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
IXP is always via fiber, but we are seeing more and more like the mid haul of the network
Mhm.
also going over fiber in most of the WISPs that we work, and then the microwave backhaul becomes just like an alternative where you cannot go with the fiber. So definitely, yes, we see that coming. Now, his next question is about how do you expect the 6 gigahertz
How do you
to
expect the 6 gigahertz to complement or to affect or benefit the fixed wireless? I think Mario means the new 6
the
gigahertz band that
new,
was open for a
oh
license
yeah,
recently by the FCC. You know,
1200, right? 1200 megahertz
it
on.
was 1200 megahertz, which is a
Yeah.
lot of spectrum.
It is, it is, it is.
Yes, it was authorized for the 1200 for indoor, and then for outdoor up to 850 megahertz. So
850
it's a lot too.
outdoor.
It's a lot too.
So I mean, my opinion on that, I don't know if you agree with that, but my opinion is that it has a natural fit and on the Wi-Fi ecosystem, right?
Mhm.
I mean, first of all, we need to understand that this is technology agnostic, so it is an unlicensed spectrum that can be used
Exactly.
by any technology. So on the Wi-Fi ecosystem, it's a natural fit, right? I mean,
Yep.
it's just an expansion, and we got from WISPA today some information about some of the WISPs that are already seeing the benefit of using the 5.9
Yes.
and above and all that. Yeah. So I mean, no doubts about it. Now on the 5G specifically, if I'm not wrong, Qualcomm uh, already specified like what's their position in terms of chipset ecosystem
Okay.
for 5G license, right? If that really, if they succeed in terms of roadmap towards the 3GPP, I
Mhm.
think that instead of what we saw in the past, that was only the LAA,
Right.
right? That
Yeah.
is the license assisted the type of load. I think that we may see like the full scope, like uplink and downlink both
Okay.
on unlicensed spectrum as part of 5G. You know, I mean, potential with all this spectrum, I don't see why the 3GPP ecosystem will not embrace that as well. You know.
I think I concur with your points. You know, and now they're saying that the 3GPP is more active, embracing unlicensed spectrum because on the 5G NR they're going to include 60 gigahertz too
Yep.
in the near future.
Yep.
So you know, there's no doubt about it. They will try to incorporate
My
the use.
concern is actually coordination, Gino. I can tell you that I look forward to see. I mean, I already had some experience with the SAS on the CBRS,
Mm,
a positive experience,
okay.
Department of Defense is saying, hey, you needed to shut down this channel, and
And
the SAS network coordinates very fast,
okay.
right? Uh, and I hope that in this new unlicensed environment, I hope that we can find some level of coordination as well. I don't like the idea of like wide networks, right? I mean, where whoever has
Yeah.
the most power, I mean, gets the channels. You know, I don't think that will be productive. So I
No.
hope that we can find some coordination.
Yeah, the way the spectrum was approved by the FCC, it needs it's not as stringent as the SAS, but it will protect the incumbent 6 gigahertz point-to-point links.
Okay,
So if you want to use the equipment outdoors, you have to first register the equipment to a database, and they will let you know which channels you can use and which you
got you.
cannot. So there's kind of a let's say a mini SAS going on
Okay.
to coordinate channels. So now that you touch on CBRS, which is pretty interesting and it's hot because right now CBRS, the auction is gonna be in July
Yep.
and there's a lot of movement going on. Which band you think is gonna be the star of the mid-band spectrum?
I lost you for a second, Gino.
Oh, you lost me? I'm back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Okay, sorry. So which band do you think is gonna be the star of the mid-band spectrum? Because we got 2.5, which Sprint owns most of it. We have CBRS, which is good, but it's limited. It's only 150 megahertz total. Then
Yeah.
we have C-band coming
Band.
along in the near future, and
Oh,
there's some talks about 3.1 and up to 4 gigs. So
yeah.
what do you think about that?
So right now, there is no doubt that, man, 2.5, it is interesting because the same question 4 or 5 years ago would have a totally different answer, right? I mean, so our ecosystem and our technology evolved so fast. So today, the 2.5 is the golden spectrum, right? So you have the regulations in terms of power, so the coverage that you can get on 2.5, okay, it's much better than what we can do with CBRS, and then you have this. I mean, for whoever has the licensed spectrum, you are pretty much protected on that one, right? So Sprint is very comfortable because they pretty much they control at least that range between 800 is sometimes like 120, 140 megahertz. That is like under their control. Now the problem is that most of the WISPs that they own the 2.5, they typically own only like 3 blocks of 5.5, and then they have another 5.5 that is far away that we cannot aggregate together. So the best we can do for most of the WISPs owning 2.5 today is actually 15 megahertz.
Exactly.
What I mean, what is not bad. I mean, I have seen results on 15 megahertz with the high-end technology, because one of the advantages that the WISPs can use exactly the same equipment, high-end equipment that Sprint is using. So Sprint is driving the ecosystem, but then everyone can take advantage of the same ecosystem, right? Now, if you can actually like swap spectrum and get a full 20 megahertz, that's the perfect scenario, right? That's what everyone would like to do. Now, on the CBRS, you have this advantage that you may not be limited to the 15 or 20. You may eventually bid like for a minimum like of 10 megahertz or something like that, and then you go over GAA. So you bid for the minimum that you need on your network, but you can always expand on your GAA portion of the spectrum. Now, C-band. I think that the key for C-band, and I'm glad that we have Claude to help us in all this journey, but I think that the key for C-band is what is going to happen with that 200, it's 200 or 280? 280. So that 280 that stays on the hands of the satellite stations, right? What happens outside of the terrestrial limits of the station, right? Can we share that or not? So that is key for us in rural America, because we know by fact we are not going to bid on the licensing portion of the C-band, right? I mean, that will stay on the hands of the big player. So what we would like in rural America, you, me, and everyone in this industry, it is to know if we will be able to share the remaining portion of the C-band. Okay.
That's a very interesting thought. As you mentioned, the big blocks are going to stay with the big guys. It's going to be 2 100 megahertz channels, which is huge, and then that will be pretty expensive. And then you have 180 megahertz channel. So all 3 channels are going to be auctioned. It's going to be a very high financial endeavor to acquire those spectrums. So I kind of agree. Let's see if the WISPA organization and other members of the unlicensed band movers will push forward and see if we can get some sort of SAS system going on at that lower band, so we can use it.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, even if we may support that, even if we needed to monetize that to the satellite holders of that spec, it still makes sense. I think that in the same way that we needed to pay the SAS fee to use the CBRS spectrum, a portion of that SAS fee could go, for example, back to the satellite companies, and we really make a real use of the spectrum, because we know that today it's not being used outside of the terrestrial stations, right? So
that's right. So What do you think about the obviously the recent movements in terms of business sense in the industry as a whole? Finally, Sprint and T-Mobile merged. That took about 2 years, a little bit more or less. What are your thoughts? What's going to happen maybe in the market on the business side of things?
I mean, I think that everyone was expecting the merge to happen, right? I mean, one way or another. So it's not something that's really new for us. I'm more curious to learn more about it, about Dish.
Okay.
Okay, I think that is like the not the unknown, but it is what everyone is waiting to really to see happening. They announced like the first 5G vendor. What was a big surprise. I mean,
Yes.
they took
Start, right?
one of no in Mavenir.
Mavenir, okay.
So they took one of the Open RAN vendors.
Exactly.
That is actually interesting because then it opens a different perspective in terms of ecosystem of equipment, right? So that's something that I would like to follow very close. And in the space of new players, man, Comcast still sits on 600 megahertz. So what they are going to do with that, right? I mean, are they going to sell that back to Verizon or whoever? I mean, I don't know. That is interesting. So I would like to see more from Comcast, from Charter. Those are like players that he has muscles to come to this industry, you know.
But I think that they need maybe to do a joint venture with one of the big maybe tech companies, something like Amazon or kind of those similar. There were some rumors about that, about Amazon maybe joining Dish on the venture or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, you bring a point because I mean we saw what happened between Geo and Facebook, right?
Yeah,
so
that's big news.
So just after that, there was, I mean, the rumors about it, like a big player coming on board together with the Dish, restarted, and it would be interesting. It would be at least very different than what we are used to see in this industry, right?
Definitely.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much Jeff Bezos connects to Charlie. You know, I mean, it could be
Jeff, he has the cash. He has the cash. Yeah. And lastly, just wrapping up here, what do you think about the vendors? There's some rumors about maybe Nokia getting bought out, or Ericsson might be in tough financial issues.
No, I was reading the last report from Ericsson, and I didn't see anything that was a big surprise to me.
Okay.
I think that most of the results were already expected by the market. Let's put it this way. I mean, most of the results were in advance communicate. Now, the big surprise was these rumors that someone was trying to take over on a raw style deal, Nokia, right? I mean, that's very interesting. Like 3 private equity groups, like we're mentioning as one of them could be like the possible bidder and all that. I mean, I don't know. That would be huge news, you know. I mean, if someone really goes over Nokia, I don't expect like if people are discussing, oh, would the Ericsson merge Nokia? I don't believe it. No, because I mean, there is no way that the regulatory bodies would allow that. You know, it's not only the concentration of market of US; it's concentration of market in US, in Europe. So I don't see that happening. You know?
Yeah, and obviously with the demise of the Chinese companies out of the US market and other markets, you know, the market of vendors is shrinking. And there's a lack of a US based manufacturer of 5G equipment, which, you know, you got the small startups coming on, but there's not a big name in there. You know, Motorola is not longer there. So I think, you know, I don't think they're gonna merge. I'm with you on that one.
I don't think they will merge. Now, we can say that maybe part of the Dish decision on could be driven by the comment that you just made. I mean, supporting like a company in the U.S. territory
Exactly.
where the president can actually get the phone and say, "Hey."
I know what you mean.
So,
Vico, it's been a great time, discussing all this. We've been 31 minutes now. It's time flew, man. I really appreciate your time and your thoughts on this. I will leave. I would like to leave with one last question for you. And if you have any advice or thoughts or comments on the telecom industry as a general, just for our viewers.
I mean, I think that we needed to be very proud, right? I mean, everything that is going on in the world, and we know that we are behind all the technology that is making possible to connect everyone that needs to be connected, everything that needs to be connected. So I feel very proud of our industry, and I know that you have people in the field that cannot stay at home. All our WISP industry have employees in the field that are being affected by COVID, and we still remain like working hard to bring more capacity. And I mean, you saw your numbers on your network.
Yep.
I mean, the data volumes, it's not a big increase on the peak, but it's more an increase on the data volume and a shift on the pattern of the data consumption from night to daily hours, right? So
Exactly.
And man, we are not seeing outages, right? In our
Yeah.
industry, we saw some outages on collaboration tools and all that, but
Right.
on the infrastructure,
On the
on the
backbones, yeah.
connectivity, on the backbone, we didn't see outages. So
That's right.
I'm very proud of all of the whole industry. I think that we acted together. Ajit Pai leading us took like actions in the time that should be taken, giving us more flexibility in terms of spectrum, and making all us to pledge together for the access. And I think that's what I say. So my advice to this industry is actually keep working harder, because everyone is happy with the connectivity that we are getting.
Thank you, Vico. I second those words. My heart goes out to all the small, medium, and large enterprises putting their work up front and keeping America connected. So, with this, I leave you guys. This has been Gigabits and Gigahertz. Thank you very much for being here, for seeing us. We'll have this uploaded to YouTube probably and Facebook, so you can watch it later. Follow us on our. I will probably put some handle for people to follow us. And we're very happy for all you guys to have been here. See you. So we will see you next time, and keep America connected. Thank you very much, and Vico, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Have a good night. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.